Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Today is a sad day. The world has lost someone so special, someone so strong, and someone so loved. You've all come here today to celebrate the life of Gail, and you've come here because of your common love, your common respect, and your common grief. My name's Rachel, and I've been given the honour of leading this service today, and I spent some time with Greg and Sandy the other day hearing all about Gail, and I have to say, everything Sandy said, she'd say, "Oh, and I'd think, she's even more amazing." So she sounds to me like the most beautiful person, and she sounds to me like you were all so lucky to have her in your lives. You've all gathered here because you're grieving, knowing that Gail is no longer physically here with you, and knowing that this is something that's happened far too early in her life, and something that's happened to you far too early in her life as well. There are things that happen as we move through life that we don't like, things that we would change if we possibly could. But when we encounter these types of situations, we recognise our humanity and we recognise our limitations as well. But we also recognise all the wonderful things that we're gifted by the people around us, the way they make us smile, the way they inspire us, and the way they teach us. And Gail did that for each and every one of you. I'm sure that you've all been thinking about the way that Gail inspired you and taught you, thinking about all the things that she added to your life. She was a remarkable young lady. She had an incredible sense of whole. She was gifted and she was wise beyond her years. She might not have fit into a box, but she had this amazing awareness. She knew it was if it was. She didn't stress. She also knew if it was, she was happy to tell you about it in no uncertain terms. But underneath that, she could teach some precious lessons like positivity, determination, empathy, and she did that just by being herself, very simply, very naturally. We're going to hear some amazing stories about a beautiful lady who you all knew and who was very close to your hearts. And so I'd like to ask her parents, Sandy and Greg, to come forward now.
Firstly, on behalf of our immediate and extended families, I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. To celebrate Gail's life, she would have been very impressed. I know there's many people here today who knew Gail, but did not know her family. Sandy's her mum, I'm her dad, and she had three brothers, Daniel, Sean, she has three brothers, Daniel, Sean and Philip. Three beautiful wives, Gemma, Amity and Lauren, and she had one nephew, Lenny, and five nieces, Olive, Maeve, Rosie, Junie and Hattie. All of our family accepted Gail from day one, and she just loved spoiling the grandkids. She loved it.
From the first time we saw you, Gail, we all said what a beautiful sugar plum baby you were. We were very privileged to have you join our family from the age of around 9 months. You also had 6 other step-sisters and brothers from your birth parents, Helen and Wayne, some of whom are here today. Growing up, you were a free spirit and you were a very busy bee. Painting and watching musicals were a favourite of yours. In fact, you had so many interests, I'm not sure how we could list them all here today. You loved to collect DVDs, rocks, posters, reading books and watching and listening to comedians. You loved scary movies, as well as the Disney ones too. Animals were also another interest of yours. You loved all our dogs, but particularly Gaga, our skipper key. You loved going to the zoo and watching the meerkats, llamas and sloths, and you loved going to the RSPCA to look at all the kittens and the little pups. You really loved your family and your nephew and nieces and loved seeing them regularly. You loved to buy special things and to surprise them on birthdays and Christmas times. Or you would just say, they can have that now. You just wanted to give to people. It was your nature, and you were such a giving person.
Gail went to school in Cowra, to Lara Public School for a short time, and then she went to Hunter Valley Grammar from years 3 to 10, and then she went to St Mary's from years 11 and 12. From year 12, you began a new adventure with a wonderful organisation called Maywell. You met new friends and new support people, and they have become part of your life. Slowly, you began to venture out with these wonderful, caring support people. Thank you, Claire, as you were one of the first people to develop a rapport with Gail and get her motivated and inspired and out of bed. Maddie and Jacinta are some very special people too, who continue to support Gail here today. It was also the support staff and management at Maywell who have supported Gail to assist her in ensuring that Gail could reach her potential.
Gail would go out shopping and enjoy going to the movies. We would often get phone calls from Gail when she was shopping out in large shopping centres. And she would say things like, guess what? Guess what I found? Guess what I'm going to buy? I'll send you a photo. And 5 minutes later, did you get that? Did you get that? Look what it is. And she was very excited. She loved buying science experiments, and she loved to explore with science. And just recently, she bought some slime experiments. And boy, did we have some fun with that. Just recently at home, I opened the freezer up, and there was purple and blue slime packed in freezer bags, waiting for me. This was Gail, always surprising us with funny things. On her quiet days, Gail loved her Xbox and gaming. She had made friends from all over the world who would talk to her whilst playing her games. People often thought it was not a very social thing, but to be playing the Xbox with her headphones on, in reality she was talking to her friends in the gaming world, and this brought a lot of fun and happiness to her. Her username was Music Lover. In one of the games, she loved building empires and destroying anything that got in the way. One of her favourite games was Skyrim, and she just loved it. She loved lots of TV shows, and some of her favourites were Pokemon, anime shows, and all types. She loved Rick and Morty, particularly Pickled Rick. She collected cards, characters, t-shirt, games, and the list is endless. In the last 2 years, Gail moved into supported living with 2 other young girls. Tori, who Gail had gone to school with, and she made a new friend, Sally. This was the Uruma organisation. Whilst at first she was cautious and apprehensive, it really allowed Gail to grow and gain some independence. The staff at her house were just wonderful to Gail. It was hard to single out anyone in particular because they were all amazing, but she was particularly fond of Sabrina and Lana. They were like her extended family. She was often the life of the party, loud and pranking everyone. She would do things like setting up a noodle challenge with some of the staff and Tori to see who could eat the spiciest and the hot noodles. Gail would come at home at least every second weekend. You see, we only lived 2 kilometres apart. We would talk every morning to check to see what each other was doing for the day, and we'd always say goodnight to each other at bedtime. Often we would be dropping things off to her, or we'd get a phone call. Dad, Mum, I need a point card or I need some chocolate. And let's face it, who doesn't like chocolate? She was our baby girl, and we watched movies together, played ball games, paint rocks, and listened to her playlist. She loved taking Gaga for walks and placing her painted rocks out and about for other people to enjoy when they found them.
I have to tell you, she loved pranking me, and she loved nothing better than me walking in front of the car and hitting the horn as loud and as often as she could. Scare the shit out of me every time. Last year with COVID, it was particularly hard for Gail and the girls at the house. They were under strict lockdown, and Gail came home for about a month during this time. Gail turned 30 last year, and what was a milestone event for her. Unfortunately, she wanted to go north to Queensland, but we couldn't because of the lockdowns. But we did manage to slip up there in August, between the lockdowns. And it was one of Gail's favourite holiday destinations. She loved theme parks. There was nothing better. She loved Movie World. So we visited all the theme parks, Movie World, SeaWorld, and we actually stayed at SeaWorld. And she really enjoyed it up there. We also visited some family on the trip, and that was great. And it wouldn't be complete without a trip to Ripley's Believe It or Not and a night out at Dracula's. Yeah, that's you, I think.
Just recently, in February of this year,
Come on back,
Gail
Rosie.
became very ill. We learned that she had advanced heart failure from the viral infection. In other words, her heart caught a cold sometime in the previous 18 months. She was admitted to the ICU in Maitland, where the coronary care unit, and then placed in the coronary care unit at the John Hunter. With some great doctors, nurses, and a lot of new medication, she became stabilised, which allowed her to return home with us. Gail was doing quite well and slowly working towards returning to life with her housemates once again. And this was her goal.
We purchased a travel skirt for Gail, which is a little three-wheel electric scooter that can fold up and put in the back of a car. This was her little freedom machine, and she loved it to bits. She was more excited about that than when the boys got their first car. It was like her first car. She would take it to Green Hills with the girls and zoom around the shops, and at home she was still able to take Gaga for a walk. She even used it to visit the house to show it off. Everyone she showed it to, she wanted them to try it out, and that gave her great happiness. I went to shopping with Gail at Green Hills one day, and I said, I just want to duck in here. She said, well, I'll be back, I'm off. And she'd go. She'd be back 2 minutes later, I'm back off here, I'm there. She loved it, and she loved getting comments from people. Where did you get that from? I want one. Gail has taught us many things in life that we could not learn in any other way. She had so many talents and a beautiful, caring nature. She also had a wicked sense of humour and enjoyed a wonderful, rich life with us, and she'll be missed by many. When she was in hospital, she had a couple of jokes she loved telling the doctors and nurses. And some of them, here's a girl with heart failure in the hospital, and she was asking people, what's the difference between an enzyme and a hormone? And she had some cardiologist scratching their head thinking, enzyme, hormone, what could it be? And she said, an enzyme can't talk. And so she got them all laughing, and she had some crackers. But that was just Gail.
It was, wasn't it? She did like to joke. My last night with Gail will be the one I will remember and cherish for the rest of my life. Greg went out for the first time in a long time to a send-off, and Gail and I had a girls' night at home.
You're a good girl, Rosie.
I asked her if she wanted to go out for tea or what would she'd like to do, but instead she suggested we just get takeaway and have a girls' night home. We watched movies and some YouTube together. She had a favourite food to eat, which was fried rice with extra prawns. Don't forget the extra prawns, Mum. We watched her latest favourite TV series, Fraser, for a while. And then she invited me to watch her play Skyrim on the Xbox in her room. We did this for an hour or two. I learnt so much about the game and what she was up to. Gail then told me that she wanted to lay down and just use her iPad. It was getting late. I did some washing and did some tidying up in the home, and I went to check on her, and that time her heart had gave out. She was gone. She is our shining star. Fly high, Gail, until we meet again. We love you. And that's the end.
stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send the blood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. I'm gonna send the blood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me.
Looking through those family photos that capture Gail's life from when she was a little one, I'm sure that you'll remember the times that you were there at some of those special occasions, and also remember the other people who were there. And being here today, looking at our photos, it is a beautiful opportunity to reflect on the growing up of a tiny, innocent, excited girl into that much-loved, funny and vibrant lady that you all know. I have no doubt that Gail is at peace, and as Sandy said, she has a special star. It's up in the sky, and the little ones, her nieces and nephews, they've been going out each night, saying goodnight to her, spotting her star and finding out where she is, saying goodnight to her. There is a gathering at the Maitland Sitting Bowling Club after our service today, and on behalf of Gail's family, I'd like to invite everyone to join them there. I know that there are so many of her friends and They really do want to be able to talk to you all and hear your stories about their beautiful Gail. But there are more special people in Gail's life, and so I'd like to ask her brothers, Daniel, Sean and Philip, to come up and share some memories with us.
Thanks, Rachel. Firstly, thanks to everyone who is here today and viewing online to share in the celebration of Gail's life. We want to extend that thank you to everyone who has texted, called or messaged our family since the news of Gail's passing. These kind gestures all help to ease the pain to know that there is such an abundance of love and support for Gail and our family. There are no words that could ever express the love, pride and gratitude we all felt for Gail, nor are there any words that can express the pain, sorrow and loss we feel today. We can all remember her as a baby coming to our home in Swansea. The memories of picking her up from daycare, endless days playing together, teaching and stuff, getting into mischief and sharing many happy times together. We all sat down to write a few words to share. We were making some notes. The first thing that came to us was, no filter.
As you're all aware, Gail was identified as being on the spectrum, which influenced her unique and special personality. Having no filter resulted in many funny stories, some that made us cringe, laugh out loud, cry and smile. One of the first memories that really stands out was when we were watching The Lion King at Maitland Cinema. We were up visiting from Cowra over the holiday break, and Gail would have been nearly 5. Gail's love for films had already begun, and she was so excited for her very first cinema experience. Pretty much from the opening credits, Mum and Dad were trying to shush her, which worked for about 2.5 seconds at a time. Early in the film, we really hit the crescendo. As the wildebeest stampede scene left us on the edge of our seats, we watched in silence and anticipation. A loud but little voice cut through. "Simba's dad is dead!" I sank in my seat with embarrassment. The full cinema erupted into laughter. This was the beginning of Gail's long love of Disney films and talking throughout films, which she became an absolute expert at. And of course, making people laugh. She also loved to convince me to play Lion King, where she would get us to recreate the Battle of Pride Rock, except it was off the top bunk. We shared our special bond as brother and sister, and I always had her back and she always had mine. As we became adults, we still stayed close. I would drive you to the shops or to get food, and in return you would make sure I got to bed safely after passing out in the bathroom as a result of a big night out. Having no filter was one of Gail's greatest strengths. What you saw is what you got. You knew where you stood with her. Gail loved and trusted unconditionally. She loved her family and her friends, whom she made quickly everywhere she went. Her fierce loyalty is unrivalled, and her selflessness, care and compassion never waned. Even when Gail was sick in hospital, the first thing she would always ask is, "How's little Hattie and Lauren?" and made damn sure I was taking care of them.
There are so many treasured memories that we would love to share. The truth is, every moment you share with Gail is rather memorable. But let's keep the rest to share over a beer after all this. Gail often immersed herself in the worlds of her favourite movies, shows and games where she admired her favourite characters and heroes. But in real life, Mum and Dad were Gail's heroes. They dedicated their lives to making sure she had every opportunity, that she felt loved every day, making sure she knew how amazing she was and that she never felt alone. They were always there for her and loved her unconditionally.
It's no surprise that we keep hearing stories of all the lives that Gail's touched, all the happy memories she created and all the joy she brought. Gail had the odds unfairly against her when she was born, but was strong and fought the whole life. And the last 3 months were no different. You're our inspiration, Gail. You taught us unconditional love and bravery. Fuck me. Can't even see. Which we will carry with us forever. I don't know what to believe about going to a happy place after you pass, but if anyone does, you deserve it. We love you and hopefully we meet again. Thank you.
As your family has grown, more and more very special, very important people have joined your family. And I'd like to ask the girls to come forward now and share their memories.
Hi everyone. We are really proud to have the honour of being Gail's 3 sister-in-laws, Gemma, Loz and Em. We are extremely saddened, as we know all of you are, at the passing of our wonderful Gail. Gail was a shining spark and she left a memorable imprint on all those that she came in contact with. Gail had a unique way of bringing you into her world. She wanted to share her love of things with you, whether it be a weird and wonderful food, a new game, video or experience. We are grateful to be able to share just a few of our fondest memories with you all today. Sharing our memories keeps Gail's spirit alive, and collectively this is something we would do forever. When first meeting Gail, we immediately knew where we all stood. When Sean invited Em over for her first family dinner, she was questioned over the appropriateness of her outfit. And for Loz and I, we were informed that both Phil and Dan had a long history of girlfriends and we just may be another number in a long queue. At this point, we were confident that Gail was the protective little sister of her brothers. However, sadly for the boys, this stage didn't last long, and quickly she was all team girls, and this never shifted. We were her sisters as she was ours. This bond of sisterhood was thick. If we ever had a slight concern or annoyance with any of her brothers, she was quick off the mark to put them in their place, often with a stern lecture or a loud grunt. Gail did not need to be in the same room to address her concerns. These could be bellowed from wherever she was. The boys knew if they heard her footsteps, they were in for it, whilst we cheered on from the sidelines. But lucky for them, the reality was her bark was far worse than her bite, and more often than not, they'd end up smothered in a big bear hug.
Gail had a fierce devotion to her family. She was our biggest ally. If she deemed there was an injustice, she was the first to come to our rescue. Like the time I was breastfeeding at the Hawk's Nest Bowling Club in the bistro, Gail noticed a few people were staring at me. She promptly put down her cutlery. How dare those people stare at you? You're giving life to the child. It's just wrong for them to stare. I hadn't noticed that anybody was looking. However, I felt supported, and that is something we all felt often. We are forever grateful for our annual family holiday at Hawk's Nest, a special gift to us all from Sandy and Greg. Gail was always the first to greet us and help unpack, and she always packed a special treat or two that she wanted to share. She always ensured that the kids were safe, often scaring off the resident dingo if they dared think about looking at them, and letting us know where they had wandered off to. Auntie Gail was always on patrol. Alongside Grandma and Sandy, she loved being a judge in the talent contest this year. It was a role that suited her. She was fun, fair, and brutally honest. Gail adored her family. She was a proud, playful, and protective auntie. She had a bond with her nephew Lennox and nieces Olive, Maeve, Rose, Junie and Hattie that we will always remember and be grateful for. She enjoyed carefully selecting and giving the kids gifts and watching them enjoy them. She always knew what the kids were into and would make a conscious effort to let us know what shop they were in. If they liked something from one of her many prized collections, she would let them look and play, and after telling them all about it, she would often let them keep it. The kids enjoyed this as much as Gail. Apart from the spoiling, Gail did responsible things too. She would frequently remind them the importance of eating their vegetables, even if she wasn't about to practice what she preached.
At Easter and Christmas, Gail was in her element. She would chaperone the Easter egg hunt at Sandy and Greg's, restocking as she went, ensuring a never-ending supply of sugar and fun. At Christmas time, or any time, she would be the first to check in with a "Where are you?" text, as more often than not, we were running late and she was excited to hand out all the presents. She brought the inner child out in all of us. Gail had an infectious laugh, and with a clap of her hands, head thrown back and a sparkle in her eye, she found humour in many things. This is something that brought light to all of us and will long live on in our memories. We've spoken today about Gail's love for and impact on our family, but her care for others was not limited to family. If you were part of her pack, she cared about your family and loved ones as though they were an extension of her own. She often asked about extended families and friends that she knew but would not often see, as though they were never far from her thoughts. She would tell us about her friends and their families with a smile on her face and love in her heart. She would connect us all through stories and experiences just as she does today. Gail has left a mark on us all. We will always remember the things she valued and the lessons that she unintentionally taught us. We will endeavour to instill many of her great qualities and methods in our lives and those of our children. In true Gail form, one should always extend your care for others to those that they care for. Tell it how it is, because it's the only way it should be told. Live your life on your own terms and always be yourself. Buy the things you want and enjoy them. And always try the crazy flavoured foods. Even if it's a sausage sizzle crisp, a Vegemite ice cream, or bacon flavoured chocolate, it might just be the goods. Life is too short, after all, not to. And whilst Gail's life was far too short, we are so lucky to have had her in ours for the time that we did. She filled our lives with colour and joy in a way that only she could. And it is this colour and joy that will carry us through these hard times. Thank you. Sorry.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again? Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of cards, one blow from caving in? Do you ever feel already buried deep, 6 feet under screens, but no one seems to hear a thing? Do you know that there's still a chance for you, 'cause there's a spark in you? You just gotta ignite the light and let it shine. Just on the night, like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you work. Make 'em go, as you shoot across the sky. heart will glow, and when it's time to know, you just gotta ignite the light and let it shine just on the night like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you worth. Make 'em go as you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Make 'em go you're gonna leave 'em behind. Boom, boom, boom. Even brighter than the moon, moon, moon. It's always been inside of you, you, you. And now it's time to let it through. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you're worth. Make 'em go as you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst. Make 'em go you're gonna leave 'em behind. Even brighter than the moon, moon, moon. Boom, boom, boom. Even brighter than the moon, moon, moon.
While these last photos are playing, while we're looking at family, I have to say something that struck me about your family in everything that you've been saying today is that you're blessed. You've got a beautiful family. But that comes from the top. It really does. And whilst you have that, I think that Gail was the glue. Definitely. So on the back of your booklets, there's a little picture, something that Gail loved, and it says, Ahana means family. Family means no one gets left behind. No one gets left behind or forgotten. And I know that Gail will never be left behind or forgotten. We'll shortly make our way from the chapel to one of Gail's favourite songs, Let It Go, from the movie Frozen. And we've heard quite a variety of music today, all songs that Gail loved, and that showed different parts of her life and her personality as well, from the funny Blues Brothers to the musicals that she loved, with This Is Me, to Katy Perry, because she loved the modern stuff. And then, of course, Frozen, which was one of her favourite songs. So you would have noticed that there are some balloons here, and Sandy and Greg they've bought these balloons because they show Gail's personality, but they've asked that her friends grab one of those balloons as we leave the chapel, and they want you to release them up into the sky as Gail drives past. So Gail will be going out the front of the chapel here, and if everyone would like to follow her out, but for her friends and her nieces and nephews, if you'd like to come and get a balloon from me, and we'll wait here, and we're going to go out this door, and we're going to let these balloons go when we stand out the back here. Okay? So before we do that, it's our opportunity to say a goodbye to Gail, and to know that as we release those balloons into the sky, we're releasing her spirit into the sky as well. So Gail, may you rest in peace.
The snow glows white on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen. A kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I'm the queen. The wind is howling like this swirling storm inside. Couldn't keep it in, heaven knows I tried. Don't let them in, don't let them see. Be the good girl you always have to be. Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. Well, now they know. Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go. Turn away and slam the door. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway. It's funny how some distance makes everything seem small. And the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits and break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. Let it go, let it go. I am one with the wind and sky. Let it go, let it go. You'll never see me cry. Here I stand.
If everyone else would like to follow out,
I stand.
you're welcome to do that.
Let the storm rage on. My power flurries through the air into the ground. My soul is spiraling in frozen fractals all around. And one thought crystallizes like an icy blast. I'm never going back. The past is in the past. Let it go, let it go. When I rise like the break of dawn. Let it go, let it go. That perfect girl is gone. Here I stand in the light of day. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway.